On April 2nd, 2025, the US government announced new tariffs.
Tariff.
10% tariff on Chinese.
By Trump's tariffs policy.
President Trump's tariffs.
Ranging from 10 to 25% on goods imported from China, Russia, the EU, Canada, Mexico, and Venezuela. These tariffs apply to items we rely on every single day, like electronics, phones, laptops, car parts, construction materials, certain foods, and even medications. Now, while you might not see the change on the shelf tomorrow, over the next 1 to 3 months, these costs are expected to trickle down and show up in your everyday spending. Historically, when tariffs are introduced, retail prices begin rising within 30 to 90 days, depending on how quickly existing inventory cycles out. And it's not that companies are being punished directly. They are simply passing the increased cost down the supply chain. That means the price difference often lands with you, the end customer. So if you're a high-income earner making over $100,000 per year and trying to actually build wealth instead of just maintaining it, this video is going to give you a clear and calm game plan to protect your money, preserve your options, and position yourself ahead of the curve. I'm going to go over what tariffs really are and how they affect you directly, what's going to get more expensive and how quickly it's going to happen, and 5 specific actions that you can take right now to protect your wealth and stay ahead of the curve. These are the exact same moves I'm making today. This isn't theory or guesswork. Let's break something down right away. People hear the word tariff and think it only affects large companies, maybe even foreign governments, but that's not how this works. A tariff is a tax placed on imported goods. When a US business imports steel, electronics, or food ingredients from abroad, the tax gets added on top of the regular costs. So that means that the business doesn't simply absorb that cost. They pass it on to the next person in line, including distributors, retailers, and eventually you, the end customer. Here's a quick example. Imagine you run a construction company and need to buy steel beams for a commercial project, and you typically source that from Canada or China. If a 20% tariff suddenly gets applied, your supplier is going to increase prices to cover that added cost. That cost now shows up in your client's invoice, and multiply this chain reaction across every industry, and suddenly even your grocery bill or Amazon cart becomes more expensive. Tariffs are often presented as penalties for foreign producers, and in many cases, they're designed to protect US industries and encourage domestic manufacturing. But in the short term, they can also function like indirect taxes on American consumers. They can increase the cost of living, even if the long-term intention is to rebalance trade or even strengthen American industries. If you buy imported tech, drive a car made with foreign parts, eat food grown abroad, or take medication made with international ingredients, then you're already affected. This also applies if you run a small business that depends on imported packaging, components, or raw materials. If you are sourcing anything internationally, it's a good time to talk to your vendors, explore local alternatives, or renegotiate before costs increase. Here's how I'm planning ahead and how you can too. The first step I'm doing is to rework my budget. If you're spending 70 to 80% of your income on lifestyle and hoping to build wealth with what's left, then you're already playing a losing game. When inflation rises and goods become more expensive, that thin margin disappears quickly. Here's a structure I recommend. 50% into investments with assets that grow over time, 40% for core needs like housing, food, and transportation, and then 10% for lifestyle expenses such as vacations, dining out, and extras. This model does 2 things. It protects your essentials and moves your surplus into assets that work for you. Otherwise, idle cash just loses value sitting in a checking account. When prices increase, the people already locked in investment growth stay ahead. Most people will wait until they feel the pinch. They're going to assume that it's a short-term shift and make no changes until their bills start creeping up. Planning early does not just help you save, it gives you more options. Step number 2 is to make a smart pre-buy list. You already know what major expenses are coming in the next 90 days. This could include a laptop upgrade, home renovations, car maintenance, or a new appliance. Make that list now and shop strategically. And the reason here is because once tariffs ripple through the supply chain, prices begin to rise. Businesses rarely reduce prices once they've increased them. This is known as price stickiness. So let's say you're planning to buy a new air conditioner this summer. Right now, it's going to cost around $1,500. But if that unit contains aluminum or copper components imported from tax countries, expect a 10 to 20% increase by July. That means paying an extra $150 to $300 for the exact same product. Step number 3 is to buy Bitcoin. Now, this isn't a pitch for crypto, it's a hedge against uncertainty. When the economy becomes unstable, whether due to interest rate changes, inflation, or global tensions like tariffs, investors look for alternative sources of value. And that's why gold and Bitcoin both see increased demand. I treat Bitcoin the same way I treat long-term real estate. I buy small amounts consistently, store it securely, and ignore short-term price swings. Even $5 to $10 per day adds up over time. And if you're just getting started, I like platforms like Strike or River. And step number 4 is to diversify. When tariffs increase, US companies often experience margin pressure. They can ripple into your portfolio if you're only invested into domestic stocks. To reduce the risk, I own 3 international ETFs. There are VTIAX for broad international exposure, FSPSX for developed markets like Germany, Japan, and the United Kingdom, and IAMG for emerging markets such as India, Brazil, and Southeast Asia. Now, these investments aren't flawless, but they do provide exposure to global trends and reduce reliance on US market behavior. If the domestic market slows while international trade adapts, these positions act as financial shock absorbers. Step number 5 is to follow the money and watch tariff-resistant sectors. There's some industries that actually benefit when tariffs are introduced, so let's go through the top 3 that I'm watching. The First is domestic manufacturing. When importing becomes too expensive, production shifts to local suppliers. So companies that can meet this demand quickly will see a boost. As international tension increases, so does government spending on defense. This trend has been consistent over time. Number 3 is domestic energy. So US-based oil, natural gas, pipeline infrastructure becomes more valuable when global supply chains are taxed or disrupted. Now, these aren't overnight wins, but if you follow sectors aligned with current policy, you put yourself in the same lane as institutional capital. If this video helped you better understand the hidden costs behind the headlines and give you a real plan for what to do next, then I want to invite you to my next live masterclass. The smartest investors do not wait for perfect conditions, they move early. Take these 5 steps seriously, revisit your budget, invest with intention, and watch how policy is shaping the future and align yourself accordingly. At the end of the day, this isn't about just saving money, it's about protecting your future, your family, and also the freedom that you've been working so hard to build. Start taking action today and you're going to thank yourself a year from today. And if you like this video, make sure to give this video a like and subscribe for more videos. I put one out every single week. And if you want to watch another video that's going to help you become financially free, then you can watch this video or this video right here.